Squad isn't an easy game to get into. The mechanics are very different from most games and it can take significant time to learn them. The goal of this video is to explain very clearly to you how you can enjoy Squad from the get-go. This guide assumes that you aren't stupid and also that you have played FPS games before. The first thing you should do when you start the game is to go to your settings, as you can customize a lot. Just for quality of life, go to Game and set if you prefer to use toggle or hold for things like leaning and aiming. Next, go to Controls and make sure your command menu and map are close to your left hand. As you can see, I've set them to caps lock and tab. You'll be using these a lot to gather information, so make life easy for yourself. Next, check if your mic is set up correctly in the audio settings, as you absolutely need to communicate with your squad.
Taking shots, southwest.
And finally, test your graphic settings in the shooting range first, as this might require some tweaking and you don't want to do this in-game. Next up, absolutely do the in-game tutorial. It might seem bothersome, but it gives you valuable information as opposed to many other in-game tutorials. Squad is not pick up and play like other games, so do it. When you've done this, it's time to find a server. In the server list, you will notice a lot of servers and a lot of information. There are different tags showing what language a server is, what game modes are being played, and importantly, what kind of players they prefer. Start out with a server that's marked as new player friendly, ideally one that has close to 100 players. Please keep in mind that queuing for servers is very common in this game, especially when you found your favorite one. This game is built around communication, and this gets easier when you frequent the same server and community. I recommend moving on to a focused and experienced server once you understand the mechanics, as life is better there. Now it's time to join a server. You can join a squad here, but I highly recommend not immediately clicking the big green join button, spawning and starting running to the red markers on the map. First, ask yourself, what do I see? On the map you can see the objectives as well as your teammates. The red markers that are on the map are added by these teammates to show where they last saw an enemy. So now you just spawn at one of the big yellow squares and start running to something red, right? Wrong. Now let's take a look at the bottom right side of the map. What this shows is the map, game mode and layer. All of the maps can be played in different ways with a different distribution of the objectives, different factions, as well as different vehicles. Each of these versions is called a layer in this game. There are quite a few game modes and they're not that easy to understand if you just jump in. It's important to know that Squad is a game that involves tickets. Your team starts with a number of them, and when you die, you lose a ticket, and when your vehicle is destroyed or a team spawn point removed, you lose many more. The team that runs out of tickets first loses. So now let's take a look at the two most popular game modes that you will encounter around 90% of the time. I will explain these simply so you at least understand what is going on. Watch other guides for more in-depth information on these. AAS or RAAS, which means Advanced and Secure and Random Advanced and Secure, are two game modes that are quite similar. In the first one you can see the objectives, in the second one they're hidden at the start of the game. Both teams start at different sides of the map. In between there are a number of objectives connected by a thin line. Both teams have to capture the objectives in a sequential order, starting from their main base until they run into each other in the middle and then fight for dominance. Your team has to take objectives from the enemy step by step towards their main base. The distance between these objectives is quite large, so it's not simply a matter of running there and taking them. This is where the strategy comes into play. By this I mean good use of your team's assets such as spawn points and vehicles. At the start, the commander and squad leaders discuss in command chat what the best plan of action is. What you see often is that squad leaders jump into logistics trucks and helicopters and try to position themselves at the middle point as soon as possible to establish map control. These logistics vehicles offer the ability for the SL to drop a radio, which is the foundation of a FOB or Forward Operating Base. These vehicles are also able to carry the squad, including you, and supplies and ammunition in order to supply this FOB. These supplies, referred to in-game as build, can be used to place new assets, such as a spawn bunker and ammo crates for the troops, but even things such as MG placements, mortars and fortifications. As I mentioned, capturing objectives must happen in a sequential order, so usually there's one squad that's responsible for what is called backcapping.
Now with this state, we can party hardy.
Okay boy, dismount, out.
I want everybody on this fucking point.
This means capturing all the objectives in between the main base and the middle objective. As soon as the back caps are completed, the middle objective can be taken. There's more that goes into this, as you can rush enemy backcapping squads, set up well positioned fobs and do all kinds of stuff with vehicles, but that's not within the scope of this video. The main takeaway is that objectives need to be taken in a sequential order that's presented by a thin line. And in order to cap these objectives, you need fobs to spawn at and vehicles for firepower mobility. The squad leader needs his squad to work together with him in order to complete these objectives. Together, you can capture or defend the objective flags by having more friendlies there than enemies. Next up, there's the invasion game mode, which is similar in terms of placing fobs and working together. This game mode is more simple to understand, as one team is defending and the other is attacking, and you just fight around the objective that's active at the moment. Winning or losing depends on the time or tickets running out. Okay, now that the popular game modes are out of the way, it's time to join a squad. If the game modes were not clear, please watch that part again, as it's important to understand. In order to do anything impactful in this game, you need to work together with your squad. This means a talking squad leader is essential, as he can give you direction as well as answer questions.
Yeah, so we can get another rally in this compound. We're set to go.
Just join a squad, press squad voice chat, the default is B, and ask where it wants you to spawn. Isn't DSL talking? Join a different squad, or even a different server. Spawning is quite a big commitment in this game, as the maps are huge, respawning takes long, and it costs a ticket. Only spawn in when you're absolutely certain. There are 3 types of spawn points. 1. The main base, where all the vehicles spawn. You'll visit this place often. 2. A hab, also called a spawn bunker. Squad leaders create these at fobs with supplies from logistics vehicles. The entire team can spawn here. 3. A rally. That's a mobile spawn point that DSL can bring in his inventory. He needs one other squad mate nearby in order to place this. Only your squad can spawn here. Please keep in mind that you don't respawn with full ammo in this game. You need to manually refill it at ammo crates at fobs or at friendly vehicles, as they carry some in their inventory as well. This means that rallies, the 3rd type of spawn point, usually don't have a place to refill ammo, as you're usually away from a fob or a vehicle. This is where you come in as a newbie though. You can either ask DSL what kind of class he needs in the squad, or just pick Rifleman. This class brings an ammo bag that your teammates can use to refill their ammo if you're out on a long mission out of the fob. Especially important is providing bandages for the medic or AT rounds for the anti-tank. The rest of the time you can spend shooting. When you select the class, you can also choose an optic. In Old Squad, the ACOG level scopes are usually the best, but the different optics seem to be better balanced in the infantry combat overhaul. Stick close to your squad and open the map often to learn how the match evolves. When you consciously try to understand the game mode, movement of the troops and placement of fobs, things will start to click. It's quite a lot of information coming at you, but taking some time when dead to take a look at the map and all that is happening and processing it until you understand it goes a long way. Usually, the following will happen when you start a new round. The squad leader will ask you to get into a logi, which is short for the logistics truck.
Get in.
The entire squad fits in and you drive together to the location where the DSL wants to drop a fob. He places the radio next to the logi and someone needs to unload the supplies and ammo. You can do this by aiming at the truck, holding F and selecting the action you want to perform. He then moves on to drop the blueprints for a HAB spawn bunker and an ammo crate. You can help build these up with your shovel that's in your inventory. From then on, most combat will start, if you didn't get ambushed that is. A thing that is really hard for new players is distinguishing friend from foe. The game doesn't have clear markers for friendlies at all times when you aim at them. Take some time when you enter the server to learn the team uniforms. Also, here the map comes back into play, as often checking the map will give you the awareness where your teammates are and where the enemy most likely is. And then you get shot. Please keep in mind that you have 2 bandages in your inventory. You can use this when you're injured as well as to revive down teammates. Healing them back to full health is something only a medic can do. Anyway, I don't want to make the video too long. This gives you plenty of information to get you started. If you want to see an example of how the tips in this video are implemented and a round of squad is played with some narration, check out this other video I made. I highly recommend watching it. Thanks for watching though, subscribe for more and see you in the next one.